an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering One Piece, episodes 10 and 11. In these episodes, Steven Tyler, come Michael Jackson, turns out to be a hypnotist, but he sends himself to sleep with his hypnosis. Honestly, they bring up a pretty solid point. How do hypnotists avoid doing it to themselves? Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha. Thank you very much to Florian for commissioning this episode. Y'all, I swear to God, this was weird. This was so weird. I really enjoyed the first episode of the two probably more because the second one was sad. What I had said I thought was going to happen last episode, which was that Usopp was going to try and tell everybody, no, for real, there's pirates this time, and they wouldn't believe him, is what happens in the second of the two here. And it's just really, this has always been like a nightmare scenario to me, is the idea of trying to tell people my side of something and not being believed. And as a woman especially, this is a very real potential outcome of a lot of situations. And I just always, even when it's played for laughs sometimes, it can just be really upsetting to me. And I just felt a way about it, especially the scene with him and, what's the girl's name? Kaya? I just really, really hated the fact that she didn't believe him. And for no good reason either. It's like, she's just like, why are you saying this just to get back at so-and-so? And I'm like, okay, but why would he do that? What does he get out of you running off with him in the end? Because if he's lying, you're going to find out. It's inevitable that you'll figure out that he was lying. And then he just looks like an idiot to you anyway. So either you just think he didn't think this through at all, which I guess maybe. But honestly, if he didn't, it really is pretty extreme for him to just take out a bunch of guys in your front yard with a slingshot. Or you think that he's just that stupid. And why? When she says you're pathetic, I was like, wow, that is really harsh. And what reason does she have to think that? What exactly does she think he's going to do? It's not even like he's trying to get her to run away with him exactly. It's less about, he's trying to get her to hide, period. Instead of it being come with me especially. He keeps saying, you've got to run, you've got to hide. And it's not like he's saying, I know someplace that you can go. He isn't even really saying, he's just trying to get her out of here. So the fact that she doesn't believe him, I understand that the setup is meant to be, he's lied to everybody, and they all know that he's a liar, and finally it's caught up to him. And that's legit a lesson to teach, I get that. But in this sense, I really wanted it to be that she has grown to trust him despite the fact that he lies, maybe because of the fact that he lies so much, that she can see the difference and she knows that he's telling her the truth. And then she goes off with him anyway, despite everybody else telling her, are you crazy? What are you doing listening to him? He's nothing but a liar. It would have been really fun to feel like there was somebody in this weird town who got him, who wasn't an infant, because the kids are the ones that believe him. The whole thing with his troop of kids that follow him around is honestly really weird. it's the kind of thing that it comes across as cute in these little moments. But if you stepped back and looked at what you would think about like a 13-year-old kid running around with a bunch of 8-year-olds, it would seem really weird to you. So I don't know. I was disappointed by that because Florian says maybe it was more that she wanted it to be a lie. Sure, but like, and this is just me being the typical like over logical, because this is how I handle shit. I would rather do the thing that is smart in the short term and prepare to be wrong in the long term. So like, yeah, I understand that you would want it to be a lie. It can be a lie, and you also like take this dude's advice and run. And if it's a lie, so what? Then you come home and nobody cares. And everybody blames the dude who lied to you. And you probably are just pampered and treated like a sweet little pet dog because, oh, what a terrible ordeal you've been through, sweetheart. I can't believe that he was able to mislead you this way. I really hate that guy. He's no good. He's nothing but trouble, I've always said. But instead, it's this other, like, I'm going to just stay here and wait it out because I don't want to believe it, or because I think that you're really that much of a liar. And the kids later point out something I think that was really like important that I wished he had said to her himself, which is, I don't lie to hurt anybody. His stories are just meant for entertainment. He's never trying to, like, even though the stories that he tells her, if this had gone a slightly different way, you could see that somebody could have written this, like, Usopp has this girl that he has been telling her all of these wild tales about his exploits in order to impress her. But that's not why he's doing it. He's doing it because she is depressed and he's trying to cheer her up. And the stories that he tells her, while they are very like wild and exciting, they don't necessarily paint him in a great light. They don't make him sound like a badass. It just is a bunch of like, oh shit, I wound up in this whale's mouth. Damn it. Like, it's silly stories that are not meant to be self-aggrandizing. Self-aggrandizing? Aggrandizing, right? So I really wanted him to point that out to her and be like, yeah, I've told you a lot of stories. Have I ever told you anything that was like malicious? Have I ever done anything to make you think that's what I would, Yeah, I punched that guy. I didn't tell a lie about him. I didn't do I was very direct, and he was insulting my family. I didn't even insult him back. I just punched him. I feel like that's very straightforward. But he doesn't, and I get it, I do, but it's just one of those scenes where I just want to reach through the screen and be like, do it different. I don't like this conversation. You both suck. And also, not for nothing, Kaya sucks. Like, a lot. She's super boring. So I'm pretty much like, I guess kill her then. I don't know. Like, she just feels like such a wet noodle. Just, why do you say this? Shut up. Nobody cares. Oh my God. It just takes so long for her to get a single line of dialogue out because she's just crying. Ugh. You're boring. Alright, so let's back up to the beginning of the first of these two episodes, shall we? So, we get the introduction of Backwards Walking Man, whose name is Jango the Hypnotist. Jango, I have a suspicion, is not gonna like have as big a role to play as I thought. And I'm devastated. I hope I'm wrong about that. But this dude is a whole look. And I really just, I think I am consistently saddened by how much this show creates these characters with looks that I'm like, I just want this person in every scene, and then takes them away from me again. I'm sad. Like, we, as our main characters that we've been hanging out with, we've got Luffy. Boring. Luffy's like, what has he got? Like, cut off jeans. I don't even remember what he wears. That's how, like, nothing his outfit is. His straw hat, obviously. And some shirt. I don't know. Doesn't matter, because it's not important. Then we've got Nami, and she's just got this, like, white and blue striped V-neck, which honestly, it looks super inappropriate for her having gone adventuring to steal from pirates. Like, I feel like I want her to be wearing something that is meant to blend in to pirate world a little bit more. And every time I see her, she just looks like she's about to go to calculus. It's just a weird outfit that doesn't fit. And I know that's supposed to be part of the thing that she doesn't fit. But it's not that she doesn't fit in a way that is amusing. It's just she doesn't fit in a way that feels like, why is the chick who sat next to me at the coffee shop here, you know? Really, Zoro's the only one. Zoro's got a really fun look, you know? He's got his hair, his earring, his swagger. He is the one that interests me in terms of, like, just looking at. So I'm a little sad that every time we get somebody who has these, like, awesome wild outfits, that they aren't really going to stick around, because I want more of that. Florian says main characters are always easy to draw because you have to draw them the most. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I just, like, you could make them easy to draw, but still make it a little bit more interesting. The thing that with Luffy is he's such a weird character. So I'm going to level with you guys. At the end of the second episode, I had something cooking and I had to get up and go into the kitchen. And I was like, you know what? Just out of interest, I am going to put on the English version on the options so that I can listen to the dialogue while I'm in the kitchen. And I put it on, and I didn't get up and go to the kitchen right away. And it was so weird, you guys. It was so weird. Now, everybody in the chat is going, oh God, no. So here's my thing. I didn't even think it was that bad, because voice acting in shows like this is always going to be, like, awkward and strange. And the voice acting from the Japanese voice actors is not awesome. So, I mean, there's so much just like when people are standing in shock or rage or whatever. There's a lot of, like, throat noises. I don't particularly think it's amazing. It's fine, but it takes up a lot of time. What I noticed, though, because I have the subtitles on, and I didn't realize that the subtitles that I had on were going to stay when I put the American dub over. So the subtitles that I was reading went with the Japanese, and then I heard the American dialogue. And they are nothing alike. They say totally different things. I mean, the very general gist is the same, but it's said so completely differently. So there's a point at the end where Usopp was saying, I'm going to fight these pirates myself, and I have to face them. It's what a liar like me deserves, is what it says in the subtitle. But in the American dialogue, he says something like, I guess fighting these pirates alone is what I get for being such a liar all the time. And I felt a little bit bad about it, because the dub worked for me more. Just saying this is what I get for being a liar all the time, like that nobody believes me, for me it connected with me more than I'll fight them alone. I guess it's what a liar like me deserves. I do have to admit that the American one just made a little bit more sense to me. If they had translated it in the subtitle that way, maybe it wouldn't have been. I don't really know if they're just doing as close to a direct translation as they can get, or if they're simplifying the dialogue for the translation. But I felt bad because I know that you guys all revile the dub, but in the little bit that I heard, I kind of preferred the dialogue as written for the dub than I did from the subtitles. That said, I would rather watch it with the original voice actors and everything. I want to watch it the way that it was created originally and presented to everybody. Kyle says, for a long time, the One Piece dub was made by a company infamous for butchering anime to make them more appropriate for American children. Gabriella says, it's an interpretation, not a translation, so it misses a lot of the cultural context that enriches the story. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I said, I only did it for like 5 minutes of the episode, so I didn't run across anything like that in that short time, so I don't really know what that looks like. But I believe you, because I don't consume this stuff on my own, so I have no frame of reference at all. Kyle says, that's the big advantage to watching dubs in general. Yeah, so to make it more appropriate for children, I'm very curious to see what that winds up looking like, because I know in this, so far on what I've seen, they've done a little bit of cursing. There's been jokes about my balls, shit like that. What the hell? Kick his ass. You bitch. I think somebody says bitch at one point. Maybe not. I feel like they did. So maybe they changed that. But I'm just, I just wanted to be honest, because I really expected to be particularly offended by it. Now that I've gotten to know the voice actors better, I'm 10 episodes in here, I felt like if I started off with the dub, I don't have anything to compare it to. It's not going to bother me. But I sort of figured if I go to the dub now, I'm going to be like, what the fuck is this? And to a degree I was. Luffy in particular sounds really weird because in the Japanese version, he has sort of a high-pitched childish voice that is part of what makes him so weird and funny, is that there's a real innocence to him. And then when you go to the dub, it sounds like, to me, a woman trying to do a boy voice. It doesn't even sound like a boy. And kind of this rough, well, you said you wanted to fight, don't you? That kind of, there's almost there's almost that sort of tone to the way that he talks, and it's raspier. And for somebody who is illustrated to look like a kid, it feels really inappropriate for Luffy to talk like that. Let's see. Kyle says, in a different show, they crudely photoshopped people pointing guns at someone to people pointing with their fingers. Oh my God, that's really funny. I don't know why that's so funny to me. We have such weird standards on shit that we're okay with kids watching, and then what we're not okay with. This is just a weird world we live in, guys. It's strange. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to back up. The weirdest guy ever, Jango the Hypnotist. So we pick up right where we left off at the end of the last episode, which is a secretary dude who has been overseeing what's going on with Kaya, and he comes outside wanting to know how they're all on this private property and yada, yada, yada. And this dude basically, he provokes Usopp. What's his name in this? Klahadore, but he's his Captain Calva? Captain Kala? His name is said in such a way that I'm wondering if we have heard of him before. Have we heard this name before and just haven't met him? Or is this a completely new person? Either way, it was, Bernadette says, Kyle, there's a certain character eating lollipops all the time, done by Funimation. Oh. The way that you said that, Bernadette, she put quotes around lollipops, and it really sounds like she's like giving head in all these scenes, but instead they photoshopped a lollipop into it. Florian says, I will say nothing. I said the German name last time. Oh, did you? I kind of remembered being like, oh, you told me the name, but that's not like what this sound, but I just figured, wow, I just got it really wrong in my memory or something. But yeah, this dude's like provoking him. You're nothing but the son of a filthy pirate. Nothing you do will surprise me, but I ask that you stay away from the lady of this house. And of course, poor Usopp, who is unprepared for this, just completely falls right into the trap. Klahadore. Klahadore is Klahadore. Klahadore? Klahadore. Klahadore, probably, right? Oh, God. So he jumps down. What reason is there to apologize to this savage, my lady? Usopp jumps down. Very elegantly, I might add. He's got like what sort of works like a grappling hook, but it like rolls up into a tiny purse at his waist, which I was like, that's actually extremely handy and kind of rad. But yeah, he drops down and gets in this dude's face and then punches him. And it was deeply satisfying. I'll be honest, like, I think I have really established my brand, and I am going to be the one that chooses violence, usually. So I'm fine with that. Unfortunately, this leads to, well, first of all, can we just talk about, because Klahadore winds up knocked down. I think I mentioned last time that he's got 2 gold poop emojis on his jacket, which was like weird already. But then we've got these shoes. I just really want to talk to whoever designs every last detail of these costumes and find out what the fuck they are smoking, because they just will have an ensemble while odd. Oh, right. Florian says Oda. Thank you. They will have an ensemble that, while odd, makes sense together. And then you'll pull the camera back and see their shoes, or you'll see their hair or something. And it all stops making sense. And so he gets knocked down, and the camera view is down at his feet, looking at him like, at an angle from the grass. And he's wearing what looks like a pair of house shoes, but like the kind that come up around your ankle with an elastic, the kind that your grandma would wear in the winter time if she didn't have good insulation, She puts those sand-filled snake things at the bottom of her doors. She puts on these house shoes and probably like a house coat with a high collar. And the heat is never like turned up above 65. So it's always vaguely uncomfortable in her house. So she has to wear all this stuff. That's the vibe. And they're striped, gray and black. And even like the ankle part is striped. And there's no seams or anything to them. So that's really what makes them look like slippers. And I just found, for some reason, while all of his outfit is just a little weird, the poop emojis, the weird, like, collar on his shirt that curls outward, these shoes are what really did it for me, that I was just like, what in the world is he wearing? And I just really, like, does he look around his room and go, I don't know what shoes to give him. Oh, they're my wife's house shoes. Yeah, I'll put those on him. Or does he stop and go, all right, what would be logical here is for this man to be wearing some sort of maybe loafer or lace-up dress shoe. So I want to do literally the exact opposite of that and put him in practically socks only. Like, is it an active choice to do the weirdest thing? Or is it just, I don't care, I don't know, make it a sock. Like, which one? I want to know. Kyle says, I love that we get the One Piece fashion corner every episode. Look, and we haven't even reached Jango yet. Which, you know, there's shit to say. So, eventually, they all get driven off the property here after this punch goes down. I really love the kids being like, you stupid head, and then Luffy in the background also calling him a stupid head, and Zoro being like, why are you saying it too? He got caught up in the moment, Zoro. Come on. So yeah, eventually this dude like looks down at the kids and they go and run behind Nami to hide. And everybody else is like, all right, well, I guess we'll leave. So they head out, and we have this scene with Kaya and the butler where she's like, I don't want to eat anything. And he tells her that the cook will be very sad to hear that because he goes to a great deal of trouble to make things that suit you and will be good for your disposition. It keeps being sort of referred to, the fact that she isn't well. And I think I said last time that I sort of assumed this dude was going to be poisoning her. It's not said, I don't think. I may have missed it, but I don't know exactly what is meant to be wrong with her other than that she has like severe depression. There's sort of it feels like they're trying to say that the depression is a symptom of something else that's happening. But anyway, so he's talking to her about like, because apparently the next day is going to be 3 years for, since he joined her family as the secretary. And he says something about how Usopp isn't an upstanding person, and I know I shouldn't interfere with your friendships, but I would never be able to forgive myself if I disappointed the memory of your parents by not taking care of you. And she tries to be like, look, Usopp is a nice person, though. And he says that's not what's relevant. And she calls him a blockhead. And he says, blockhead will do just fine. And then just sort of smiles down at her. And it's just sort of a weird, like, all he says basically is like, your parents took me in when I was going to die practically a beggar. He tells this whole thing. And I owe it to them. And I was sort of like, this story feels really vague. Like, why did he just get dumped on their doorstep like this? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it turns out it doesn't make a lot of sense, because that is not what happened. So this is when we cut to Jango moonwalking his way through the forest. I had to tell you guys, so those of you who are patrons, at Halloween, I do a series called Unspooked. This year, I might not be able to do as many episodes as I normally do because I am going to be planning my wedding, and it will be coming up pretty shortly, and I think I'm going to be kind of overwhelmed. But normally I do about 3 episodes over the course of the month that are all spooky stories that I find, and I try and find ones that are, if not provably true, at least have a ring of truth to them, you know. And one of the episodes I did, it was a longer one, I read some stories that I found on Reddit from somebody who allegedly worked in the forestry service at a huge national park. And they were sent to find people sometimes who had gotten lost in the woods, who had, either kids that like wandered off, people who went out to hike and didn't come back, just various, disappearances. And a lot of the stories were about these like people that he would sometimes run into on the trails who acted really strangely. And there was a sort of implication a lot of the time that they weren't human, that they were like aliens, perhaps, beings doing their best to imitate what they thought a human would say or act like. And one of my favorite things was the description of somebody that he was talking to breathing, and that it was like their chest was moving in and out, like how it would if you did breathe, but it didn't seem like they were actually breathing. He couldn't hear inhaling and exhaling kind of thing. And another one was the description of seeing somebody walking in a way that just like human people don't move that way. And it got me thinking as we're watching him like moonwalk through the woods. It's all very amusing, right? In this show, in a cartoon, you see some dude dressed in a wild way moonwalking through the woods, and you're just like, literally, what the fuck? But guys, imagine you are just hiking on a trail and you see somebody coming toward you dressed like this, moonwalking in like the dark in the woods. You would shit your pants. Be honest. It would be the most terrifying, inexplicable thing you ever came across. There's just no reason for it. There's no reason for a person to be like this. It would just completely flip me out. So there was this moment of like, oh my God, this guy is so weird. And then for some reason, just the moment where he's like in amongst the trees, I was like, or this is a horror movie. Like, is this cute or is this the worst thing? So it turns out that he is in league with this pirate captain, as it turns out. But we'll get back there in a second. We have, first of all, Zoro, the kids, and Nami kind of hanging out. They don't know where Luffy is, but they don't particularly seem worried about it. And they talk about how there's this one person that they're friends with named Onion, and how occasionally he disappears. And then sometimes he'll turn back up all freaked out with bad news. And indeed, here comes Onion with a very oniony head. I really enjoy, by the way, that there is a character in Steven Universe who's also called Onion. I don't know if that's like an homage, if that's a coincidence. But in Steven Universe, his head is literally like an onion with a face. But yeah, so he comes and is announcing to all of them about this like weird backwards guy that's coming. And it's just done so weirdly. Hey, who's calling me a weird guy? And then he does his thing. I am not weird. He's got a thing on his chin. So, okay, I'm gonna back up just a tad to talk about this outfit, because since y'all have said you appreciate when I address this, I'm gonna. First of all, the heart-shaped shades. Again, I just want to know why. I'm not mad. I just would like an explanation. I am absolutely a fan. Don't get me wrong. I have many a selfie of myself in varieties of colors of heart-shaped shades. But you would really think that the guy who's a hypnotist would have, shades with, a spiral in each eye, right? Something to sort of signify what he's going to be known for in the end. But instead, it's just this, which on the one hand is kind of fun because it implies a personhood outside of what his character's, gimmick is. But on the other hand, I'm just like, oh, but it's so confusing. Why? Secondly, the fact that he is clearly like meant to be dressed in a way that brings to mind Michael Jackson. You know, he's got like the socks that are up high. He's got a glove on one hand that's like the bad glove. It's like fingerless, I think. All of this is meant to evoke Michael Jackson. Oh no, he has a glove on both hands. My bad. But then his face is just so Steven Tyler-y, or even like Mick Jagger-y. It feels like Steven Tyler more to me. But at the point when this was done, when like this came out, I don't know. Maybe Steven Tyler was still too young. I don't think Steven Tyler's ever been young though, right? He was like born like that, born with long, dirty gray hair. Anyway, so there's that. And then I don't know if I just didn't see it or if the camera purposefully sort of cut it out. But he has a sort of pharaoh-ish stick beard. You know, the one that it's like, it just sticks straight out and it's got stripes. And it's really unclear if that's actually his own facial hair or if it's just something that he liked and stuck on his face. There's something vaguely raccoon-tail-y about it. It is truly awful. Like, the rest of his look would actually pretty much work, even though it's strange. But again, there has to be the one thing that we tack on in the midst of all of this that you're just like, why? Why this? And that's what it is. You know what I'm realizing? In this one, it's the beard. In the other one, it's the house shoes. I'm trying to think of what, because not Luffy, Buggy the Clown, his whole look was just so bizarre. I can't even think of like one particular thing about it that I remember being out of place. But I'm just going to say, this dude and the captain, their things are striped. And I'm wondering if that's like, because the thing that doesn't fit has often been striped and that's sort of a thematic, or is that just to signify that they work together? Or is there absolutely nothing alike for them? If it's just a coincidence. I don't know. Florian says the red and white striped shirt, maybe. Maybe. I don't remember that too well. But it does seem like the striped thing, keeps being at least one element that's striped, and I'm just sort of like, why? Anyway, I love this. Seem pretty weird to me. Don't be stupid, I'm just an ordinary passing hypnotist. Oh my god. So the kids tell him, show us, do something to hypnotize us. And he says, why should I have to reveal my techniques to a bunch of strangers? And immediately is like, no, yeah, I'm going to do it. Okay. So he pulls out this ring. You feel sleepy at the count of 1, 2, Jango. Okay. And he does it, and it cuts to all of them asleep on the ground. I cracked up. Again, you guys, it's never even occurred to me that a hypnotist is going to need to not fall for the thing that they're trying to get somebody else to fall for. A doy. And I mean, it's accepted, right? That like the hypnotist isn't in the mind space for that. They're focusing on the other person. They're watching them. Doesn't matter. I found this super funny. And it comes up again later, and I just really enjoyed it. So this is when we go to the beach, and he has gone to meet up with what's his face, I can't remember the guy's name. I love how he says, now we can get started with the rich girl assassination plan. Really, really rolls right off the tongue. Ah, yes. Oh, God. So, of course, up on the cliffs, we've got Luffy and Usopp listening. Now, here goes something, guys, that I just need to ask what the deal is. I am loving in the chat. Everybody's trying to help me with the name, and the first three were all completely different. Kuhara, Kuro, Klahadore. Captain Kuro to make it easier, says Gabriella. Thank you, Gabriella. Thank you, Kyle. Captain Kuro. All right. Florian. Come on. Come on, Florian. So, guys, there's this thing, and I know that I don't need to be distracted by this shit, but that's the point of what I do, okay? I have to talk about it. The hermit crab. What's the deal? Because this hermit crab just keeps showing up and keeps being, like, focused on. Like, it's really riveting footage to see it climb up this rock. And it's just like they don't... It's like somebody was like, you know what, I would really like to draw a hermit crab. Do you think we could incorporate that into the scene somehow? And somebody was like, well, it's either we have long scenes of a hermit crab, or we have lots of... because people are mad at each other. We need something to fill time. So, sure, hermit crab, do that. Because it just fills time, and it's nothing. And I really started to think it was going to be something. They fooled me. We cut back to it repeatedly. Even in the next episode, when we're on the beach again, we come back to it. It's trying to climb up the same rock, apparently. It just won't give up. The little crab that could. What a weird thing. And eventually there's a moment where we like see it fall and plop back into the water. And I'm like, should I be sad? The camera doesn't even like follow it down into the water. It just sort of disappears off screen and floats away. What a weird thing. So anyway, Luffy, like, he's sitting right next to Usopp, by the way, listening to this whole thing about how Miss Kaya must perish in an unfortunate accident. Don't mess that up. On your signal, the men and I storm the village and kill the girl, and then you'll get her inheritance. You fool! You don't understand a thing! How would I, an outsider, inherit Kaya's estate? He replies, you'll work hard too? Oh my God. I love that so much. He's like, I don't know, elbow grease? Bootstraps? You'll figure it out. I believe in you. Oh my God, dude. No, the point is, you have to hypnotize her to make her write her will so that she leaves me everything. Let's be honest here, guys. This girl has no family. She's living alone in this mansion. I am going to bet she's leaving practically everything to this guy anyway. Assuming she had a will written, which she looks like she's about 12, so probably not, but I guess we're meant to think that she does. I just find this really funny, like the idea that he has to organize a thing to make it so that she leaves him. Who else would she leave it to? It doesn't seem like there's anybody in her life, you know? Is he worried about Usopp taking his shit? Maybe that's why he's getting so bent over him. Only then will I inherit her enormous fortune. In a completely ordinary manner. I've spent 3 long years gaining the trust of everyone around me so that it would be unsurprising for her to leave her inheritance to me. And this winds up being part of the thing that comes to bite Usopp back in the ass because everybody's talking about how this dude is so trustworthy. And maybe if he were the one telling us that pirates were attacking, we'd believe you. But instead it's you, and you've done nothing but lie. And maybe this is a lesson that Usopp can internalize a little bit. That you build credibility over time and you can get people to do whatever. 3 years ago, you suddenly said you were giving up life as a pirate. You set up a subordinate to be your double. Then let the world see Captain Kuro get executed. I really feel bad for that subordinate. I hope that they got a good deal out of this somehow for their family. I don't know. Soup for his family. So that was the very beginning of this plan. You truly are Kuro, man of 1,000 plans. Don't call me that. I abandoned that name years ago. I now want you to obtain great sums of money without the government on my back. In other words, I'm a pacifist. Commentary? I'm not sure. But he makes it clear that at the very least, Kaya's father's death was actually accidental. It seems like he did kill her mother. But the father, his death was... he doesn't even say accidental. He just says, I hadn't planned on that. Now that I realize. So maybe that's not what he meant. And then we see off to the side, we've been sitting in the waters nearby for a while now. The men are starting to grow impatient. And we get this weird, cut to what looks like a bunch of devils. Excited with it's not just them, but there's a red sky behind them. And then there's a lens flare over it all that's rainbow. Honestly, it looks pretty dope. And then we cut back to the hermit crab, which is trying again. But we find out later that the flag that he flies under is a cat skull and crossbones. Which, I don't know why I find that so hilarious, but there's something about it that feels just... I think it's because it's not done up to look like a jaguar or a lion. It's just a kitty. And I think that's what I find so funny about it. It's it's just a little house cat. Oh, look at his whiskers. Oh, rub his belly. That kind of cat. And so them all trying to be fierce, I just need a little bit more of something to that face to feel like it's intimidating. I mean, I said what I said about the others that we've seen. We have Heart Eyes, Skull and Crossbones, which remains number one because that's just so good. We have Buggy's Clown one, which is a juggalo, and that feels scary for its own reasons. And then we have the kitty cat, which is just so cute. I'm excited about this. So, those guys are waiting off to the side to attack whenever they get the chance. Meanwhile, it really feels like Luffy does not process any of this conversation that he is hearing at all. And he just keeps talking to Usopp and being like, what is even happening? What's going on? And Usopp, who is panicking and oh my God, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, you could tell people. You could bring this witness to help you. He's just laying there freaking out. And here comes Luffy. First of all, Luffy stands up. And then, critically, the next thing that happens is the hermit crab falls off the rock again. Just so y'all know, second fall. It's really a struggle. Keeping you apprised of the hermit crab behavior here. Just need to remind you. So Luffy stands up. Hey, you guys, don't attack that girl. Honestly, I really enjoy Luffy for these moments because he just handles shit in a way that's like, why would you do it this way? Why? Just because he's just that direct. I want them to not attack the girl, so I'm going to tell them not to do it. Meanwhile, the captain is like, oh, did you hear anything? Usopp, no. Whatever do you mean? We just got here now, so of course we didn't hear anything. We heard everything. Oh my god. It doesn't wind up mattering. I really thought that they were gonna, like, try and chase them down, but there's one attempt to try and, like, hypnotize Luffy. He just crashes headfirst onto the sand. And after that, it's sort of just the captain being like, well, whatever, Usopp, you're not going to be able to stop my plan anyway, so whatever. And that was it. He doesn't put that much effort into keeping him from, it was a weird bit. But, it looks for the moment like Luffy has died. He goes falling off the edge of the cliff, head first. Both Usopp and Jango think that he's dead. We get some flashbacks to the first time that Usopp went and visited Kaya and started telling her stories. And then we get the first glimpse of the cat skull and crossbones, cat Jolly Roger. And that's the end of that episode. I've pretty much talked about the next episode, so the fact that I don't have that much time left is fine, I think. So we start off, of course, with Usopp running back to tell the whole town about this imminent attack. He runs past his crew and doesn't tell any of them what's going on. Now, listen. I understand his sense of urgency. Of course, However, it does seem, based on what we've heard, that the attack isn't going to come until tomorrow. And meanwhile, he truly thinks that Luffy is dead. But he cannot be fucking bothered to stop and tell Luffy's friends, oh, by the way, your friend fell off a cliff and died. He just runs right fucking past them. Which, like, sir, just tell them, sir. It winds up being fine, we know, but he doesn't think it's fine. What are you doing? So, and of course, she asks, like, Nami's like, where is Luffy? Wasn't he at the shore with him? And he just doesn't say anything. So he goes to the town. He does his whole, everybody, there's pirates coming, listen to me. And everybody is like, oh, this fucking guy. I am sick of this shit. And I love how he's like yelling and wondering why nobody's coming out. And then once doors start opening and people begin to like mass in the street, he looks really excited for a second before he begins to realize that they're all giving him the dirty look. And then they start to be like, dude, what the fuck? We're sick of this shit. You keep on, if we ran every time you told us that pirates were attacking, we would have evacuated this town like 100 times. And he gets so mad that nobody would believe him. And I just, like, of course they don't believe you, dude. Of course they don't believe you. Like, grab somebody and bring them down to the shore to see the ship that evidently what's-his-face was just looking straight at. You could see it from the shore. They didn't go anywhere special. It was just the captain just standing there looking over at it. It's right there. But no. So we get more of the like flashbacks to him and Kaya first becoming friends and the stories that he told her. I have very mixed feelings about the flashbacks. So, on the one hand, it's so very much filler. That's probably, with this show overall, the part that I have the hardest time with, because they're not long episodes anyway. So, it just feels like there has to be a better, more efficient way to fill that time that's like a little bit more entertaining to watch. So we get hermit crabs, we get people making throat noises, extended anger faces, extended shock faces, and we get these flashbacks of this. It's like the same flashback a couple times that we've seen before. But I will say, I do sort of enjoy the way they're done, because they're like illustrated with this very textured, like watercolor paper. And it's done like a sketch that doesn't have any distinct edges. And the way that like, there will be a time when Kaya is standing at the window, and instead of seeing the room behind her that she would clearly have been standing in, you just see all of these like leaves swirling around through the window behind her. And it's sort of a cool, like, it's an impressionist sort of, what's the word I want? It's almost like a dream. You know how dreams, there will be like, things won't quite come into focus for you sometimes until you need them to for the dream. It sort of feels like that. And memories can sort of be that way, that you'll like remember one thing in that memory very clearly, and everything surrounding it sort of just fades out and is not very indistinct. And so the flashbacks and those moments with the watercolor illustration of it, it'll be a still too. Like sometimes there's movement, but not always. I found that to be kind of cool. And the falling leaves keeps being sort of the imagery that follows him and Kaya around because of the fact that he would hide in the tree outside. So anyway, he goes and tries to convince her. She won't listen, calls him pathetic, and he winds up having to run away with the entire like crew of townsfolk on his heels, basically with torches and pitchforks. There is a dude who is in her house. He seems to be like a butler or something, with curly ram's horns and like short white curly hair like a judge's wig. What in the fuck is that? Because up to now, everybody who has looked weird has also been a person. But then we just get this fucking half-human hybrid, like, out of nowhere. And I didn't agree to this. Is this a thing we're doing? What is that? Where did he come from? Mr. Tumnus? Just nothing said about it. It's just like, oh yeah, here comes my ram's head butler. What the fuck is that? Are we getting an explanation? Was he a failed experiment? It's very off-putting. That's all I'm saying. I don't like it. So, at this point, we have, after Usopp runs away, he runs into the kids, and they ask him, is it true? Are the pirates coming? We want to fight them. And he tells them that it was all a lie. And the kids, to their credit, are very disappointed in him. And they're like, wow, you just lied to like screw up somebody's day? I didn't think you'd do that kind of shit. That sucks. But it turns out that he is trying to protect them. So later on the beach, he's talking to Luffy and Zoro and Nami, and they all realize that's what he was doing. And they're all like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. Well, obviously we're going to help you fight these badass pirates. Like, no problem. And he had been like ready to just go ahead and do it by himself. And he's so thankful. And he says something to them like, don't take pity on me. And they're like, we're not doing it out of pity. We wouldn't risk our lives just because we feel bad for you. I was like, good point. And that is how the episode ends, is them saying, like, because you have honor. I think it's Zoro who says that. You know, we're going to help you because you're doing the right thing. And that is the end of the episode. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you, Florian, for commissioning this weird show. The next episode is going to be on Tuesday, April 20th. So it'll be a couple weeks. But that will be 12 and 13. And until then, y'all, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.